if you was one that you would say is the predominant challenge of body, mind, and breathing, which would you say is the most prevalent piece? And again, each person can have, 90% body, 5% mind, 5% breathing, or, whatever it is. But what do you find that there's one of those three that's predominant in most
I would
people?
say the number one thing I see is mind.
I was hoping
It
you would say
often,
that because I wanted to talk to you about really wanted to talk to you about the meditation, the hypnosis and all that. So I was really hoping you'd say the mind. And I was also hoping you'd say the mind because that was my guess and because that is what it was for me. Although as a teenager, when I had real insomnia, I realized that I was hypersensitive to coffee at some point. I was like, oh my God, it's the coffee. And like, that might have seemed obvious and it might be obvious, but as a teenager, I did not make that connection. I thought because I was kind of an angsty teenager, I thought that it was, all the things that I think about and where, I'm a thinker and I'm, and not so much anxiety, but just like, my thoughts. And then it would get to the point of panic. And, then I knew for sure it was my mind, but I didn't realize that the trigger was as simple as just cut that coffee out. And then then I discovered that. So, so I want, that's really what I want to talk about now is, the mind piece, right? The mind playing like all of it playing a role, but the mind oftentimes playing a big role. What's your approach to that? I know it's a
yeah,
big
no,
question.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for the simple things. If we can cut out the coffee, that's going to make the difference.
Yeah, like
I try not
that.
to overcomplicate things before we dive
Yeah,
in.
me too. But it wasn't exactly that easy, but it was almost that easy. Yeah.
Got it. When it comes to the mind, I view that within that category, there's three pillars. Each one of my pillars has three pillars themselves. You can see how this
Love
pyramid
that.
built.
Love that.
So in the mind, you have behavior, you have conscious mindset, and you have conscious mind.
Hmm.
I don't mean to say that all these are like there are three different boxes. Not obviously they all interact with
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
The
We're
behavior
just
and the
we're just
mindset and the subconscious
simplifying.
mind are all feeding in. And I think really good coaching understands that there's three separate elements there and works on all of them in a total picture. Because I find if you leave one of them out, then you're going to get half-baked results at best. And I found that when I entered the coaching space, a lot of the current models of sleep coaching, CBTI specifically, which is cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, was very much behavioral and mindset based, but it didn't really address subconscious mind. And so I found that it was moderately effective. I know there are some people that are helped by it, and that's great. And if it is predominantly a behavioral issue, if a person has terrible sleep hygiene, then yeah, creating that more structured, rigid bedtime, it can be very helpful. For a lot of my clients, that's not the full picture. And if I were to pick out of those where, so to say, the primary emphasis, it's in the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Because for many of my clients, they are not in control of those racing thoughts that come. They're not in control of their nightmares. They're not in control of the panic attacks and the anxiety and the flashbacks and all the things that intense emotional and mental experience they're having at night. And by just wishing it away, just relax, or turn off, or stop the coffee, or go to bed at the same time every night. That's not going to cut it. And it's also not going to cut it. And here you can see me getting excited and passionate.
Yeah.
It's not going to cut it by just challenging those thoughts and telling them, oh, I don't have to believe that. Or even if anyone's familiar with the psychological jargon, ACT model of acceptance, I believe are true. I believe that all someone who's dealt with mental health struggle in my life and my clients around the world, I believe that being able to right of the subconscious mind is the single most powerful tool to affirm mental health transformation. And when you get that mind, you get that subconscious mind on board, it's amazing how all of thum other pieces fall in place. So
yeah, I mean, what
really
you're saying, this,
developing.
yeah, what you're saying makes sense in all therapeutic interventions because a lot of our daily operations run through the lens, through the subconscious, not a lot, all. But when we go to sleep, we're in subconscious, right? Like that, we're entering that. So like to not address that at all when we're about to experience, or we're trying to experience, right, full subconscious with no conscious, right? Like the idea of transitioning from fully conscious to, right, with to fully subconscious. Is you can't skip the subconscious, right, in that, and that makes perfect sense to me. And the CBT model, like you're discussing, I think that if it was fully just a behavioral, if it was fully just a behavioral thing, people would just do it, right? Meaning just put the phone away, or even the behavioral things, right? Meaning they're just a sort of a manifestation of sort of the subconscious things going on.